And welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It's your host, Rob, aka B-Ball Archives. And once again, I got the bums in the house. All of this is brought to you by Love You Hard TV. But guys, AJ, James, how are y'all feeling today?
Oh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Well, we know who are in the NBA Finals, so that's super exciting. We don't have to wait any longer. It is here. We got the two teams from apparently the smallest markets ever in the entire universe. So pretty excited to dive into that. But I'm stoked about this finals, guys.
Y'all hear those screams the last 12 hours? Those are the ones from Bristol and New York talking about the rate. Those are the people that actually care about the ratings.
Right. I mean, you could say small market this, small market that. At the end of the day, these two teams, these are the two most complete teams in the NBA, top to bottom. They just have the depth, they have the pace, they have the offensive and defensive capabilities. And I know a lot of people were expecting OKC to get here, but a lot of people were not anticipating the Pacers making the finals. So shout out to Indiana for really surprising a lot of people in the NBA community.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
they earned it and they survived the gauntlet. These are health is more important this time of year than it's ever been, and these are the two healthiest teams are the ones left standing.
Yeah, shout out to Pascal Siakam, who is the Eastern Conference MVP. We'll probably dive into that just a little bit, but it's pretty cool to see that these two teams are teams. Like they're not really led by. I mean, obviously SGA is a MVP. Haliburton's a great player. Pascal Siakam, great player, but they're not like your huge names that are top, five that you would think of in the NBA. So pretty exciting stuff. But this just goes to show you team wins championships still, even in 2025.
Yeah.
Yes, conspiracy theorists are in shambles.
Right. Yeah.
Those whistles for the Lakers, those whistles for the Knicks, they never materialized, did they?
Right. Seriously. Yeah, that's a good call, Adam. But also, yeah, like small market supremacy. Yeah, this could be a new wave of, just going to a team that has the capability of building something, whether that's in a big market or a small market. Just do they have a good coach? Do they have a good owner? Are they making good moves in the off season, during the regular season? Like, it just does the vibe work? And that's largely what us as Spurs fans have known for years. It doesn't matter if you're in a big market. It just has to matter what you're doing as an organization. Does it all make sense?
I think it also speaks to a healthy league. You look at the NFL, their prime franchise is in fucking Kansas City. So, if you can have these prime franchises, these kind of big brands in small markets, that speaks to a healthy league.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if you're part Paul George in this whole thing right now, and like basically you're the reason why these two teams are in the finals, like you have to feel some type of way, especially being in Philadelphia doing his little podcast P bullshit. So I'm just kind of curious, like, guys, if you're Paul George, how would you feel about this finals?
Well, I mean, like, yes, yeah, and yeah, in a short answer, bad, but also like it. I mean, it's all built around you. It's like you went to the Clippers because everyone was like, Kawhi and Paul George, it would be a great marriage. And then they traded, a mountain of picks and SGA for you. So that builds up what the Thunder are now. And then obviously after the 2017 season, the Pacers, they send out Paul George to OKC. They get back Sabonis and Oladipo, and that ends up being Tyrese Haliburton and everything that they've built today. So it's
Crazy.
it really just, if you're not familiar with that, I mean, I'm sure that you are, but at the same time, it's crazy that both of those teams can build an entire foundation off of getting rid of Paul George, which is wild.
Yeah. It just shows why teams are so crazy about the value that they place in picks. You never know what those picks can contribute to down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what the was it Chet's Chet's the tequila's getting to me, guys. Like when he got drafted, it was him and was it Jalen Williams? I think were drafted in the same class or
I think
something to
so.
that effect. Like, I mean, you never know how two guys like that and who are huge contributors to this run right now. So you just never know what's going to pop up, and that's why being a Spurs fan is so much fun right now because there's so many different avenues we can go. We can go and pick Dylan Harper or pick whoever, and then also keep the 14th pick and pick whoever. And then all of a sudden, or I mean, we can even go get KD, get Giannis, get whoever. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the fun part about being a Spurs fan right now, because you can kind of see the canary in the coal mine kind of thing. And the canary in the coal mine is the Thunder. It's the Pacers. So I'm just excited here in the next few years for us to kind of hit that corner and never look back.
Yeah. I'm going to address this Adam question real quick. Does the talking point of the PG trade impact how much there is given for Giannis in a trade? I don't know. I view Giannis as just such a different kind of player. Like he's just such a, he's in that. You will, of course, but he's in that, I'm able to win a championship on my back. And that is a very, very select group of people where, I can only name a handful of those guys in the NBA that are playing that level of basketball right now. So I think you overpay for a guy like Giannis, and that's the only way you really get him.
I think what Adam might be speaking to is the implications of keeping that team together and the pressure that you put on that team to win a title, because with the new CBA and the second apron, things are so hard to keep together. So it's just, if you don't win a title in that 2 to 3 year window, then you have to pay to keep all of these pieces together. And then you are looking at all the picks that you sent out, and everything kind of compounds on itself.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a consideration to that. But for a guy like Giannis, I don't know, how much you give to that. Now, I'm not in the camp that wants to really trade the farm for Giannis at this point, but that's another discussion.
Right. I mean, we could break that down all over again, and we have multiple times. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we have an exciting finals matchup in front of us next week, and I'm very excited. Even though we're talking small market teams over here, we have two of the three top offenses that have been playing basketball in the playoffs. So it's, people say defense wins championships, but it really looks like the offense is the way you get there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, in the regular season, OKC won both of these matchups by an average of about 14 points.
Yeah.
But I'm looking back even further than that. Their last 11 matchups, the Pacers have won 7 of them going back to 2021. So the Pacers actually play well against OKC. Now, I know it hasn't been this exact squad that entire time, but I don't think that we should just be so quick to count this Pacers squad out.
No. And we saw it with the Knicks series, and they can go 11 deep. I mean, was Bryant? He went off last night and had himself a great game and pushed them to win. Nembhard, same guy. Like all these different contributors that the Pacers have, you just never know. And you can try to stop Haliburton, but he's going to give you 12 assists. You can try to slow down Pascal Siakam, but then that leaves Miles Turner open. So it's going to be interesting to see which bench really shows up for this finals, because whichever bench shows up for the finals is going to win the championship. And I think that's the fun part about, you never know. Like I think with SGA and Haliburton, they can almost cancel each other out, but the rebounding is going to be tough for the Pacers. If they have trouble with Mitchell Robinson, they're going to have trouble with Chet and Hartenstein.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the level of physicality in here, because that's really going to dictate how Oklahoma City plays defense against the Pacers. I think it's a much better matchup than what the Knicks would have given them. To beat the Pacers, to beat the Thunder, you have to be a team-oriented offense.
Yeah. That's true. Round ball, absolutely stellar comment. We got to put some respect on the Indy defense to the number 1-2 defense in the playoffs of the teams remaining. Yes, of course.
Well, to that,
yes,
to that point, they have a lot of bodies. AJ,
Yeah,
you
they
mentioned
do.
their depth. They have a lot of bodies that they can throw at Shai specifically, whether it be Nimhard, whether it be
Naismith.
Naismith, thank you. Whether it be Haliburton himself, Matherin, Toppin even can get a little bit of run on them. They have a lot of bodies and a lot of different looks they can throw at Shai.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Matherin on him for the majority of the series. I think that type of player can really give SGA fits. Just make it hard for him. And they're comfortable picking up full court. Look at what they did with the Knicks. They picked up full court for the entire series. So, it's gonna be fun to watch. I don't know what's gonna happen, and we'll get to our picks later in the episode, but I'm pretty stoked about it. And also shout out to the OKC fans. They're going to have themselves a really fun time. It's going to be a great atmosphere. And the Indiana Pacer fans, same thing. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Caitlin Clark's going to be there. She might throw on a Pacers uniform and try to put them on their back too. So we'll see what happens, dude. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. The only thing better would be if the Spurs are in it.
And both teams are going to be rested too.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But honestly, I don't know if Indiana would need Caitlin Clark because they've been the number 1 3-point shooting team in the playoffs. They've been shooting over 40%. That's the first out of any team that has played playoff basketball. They're first in points per game. I think we need to put a lot of respect on this Pacers offense because they can really create something out of nothing. But they can't do it as well as OKC can. Number 1 in points off turnovers, and this just a really stifling defense, and that's just what we've been talking about.
They're one of the best teams in the league all year. So
yeah, one of the best teams in NBA history. When you really break down their regular season they just had, it's nuts.
Yeah, and Adam, 9.5 excessive for game 1. I think that's about average. I do think that Boston would get a little bit more respect. I'm not sure if Cleveland would, though. I think, and it's easy for me to say this in retrospect, but Cleveland was a little bit of a paper tiger. I'm not sure if everybody bought that season they had.
Well, injuries hurt them towards the end there.
Oh, I mean,
absolutely a factor.
Dude, I think we're a little underplaying how injured they were. 3 of their top 5 guys are banged up in a really tough series against a team that you need depth, and they just didn't have it. So that's essentially your strong leg getting swept out from underneath you. So I'm not just going to say that this Cleveland team isn't up for the task when they didn't even have a chance to really show their true value. But at the end of the day, they didn't make it happen. That's what playoff basketball is about. You got to make it happen regardless. They did not.
And also, I don't think 9.5 is really excessive considering you look at the Thunder and how they play at home in game 1s. None of those games were close. Game 2s were a lot closer than game 1s. And
Denver did get them in game 1, though.
They did. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was also a 3-pointer by Aaron Gordon at the end. So, you kind of put a little asterisk, but at the same time, it's hard to play there. They are someone that even if you prepare for, they're so deep and they can move and you never know where the offense is coming from. But I don't think it's that acceptable. I think for a lot of times you need to have something like that just so I can win some money and bet that Pacers will cover.
They're goading you. They're saying take more tequila shots, AJ.
Adam is saying Cleveland will be heavy favorites to come out of the East next year. I don't disagree with that. I mean,
for now.
Yeah. I think with the fall with the fall of Boston, obviously with no Tatum going into next season, that leaves the top of the East kind of up for grabs. And why not Cleveland? If they're healthy, why not?
The fall of Boston sounds like something I would have had to make a dialectical journal on in 9th grade.
but also we talked about this a little bit last game. Don't count out the Heat. The Heat are going to make some kind of splash in this offseason. and it might involve the Spurs, it might involve another team, but they're going to make some kind of splash. And don't count the Heat off out of any of this.
And let's not write out the Pacers either. There are going to be some changes there. You know, Miles Turner's contract is up, and he's only getting paid $20-something million. So that's probably going to either have to change or be addressed in one way or another. But don't forget about the Pacers. They did just win the East.
Yeah, I mean we're not ignoring them, but I think that they are always going to be, existing within the conference as a little bit of an underdog because they don't have a true superstar player. And I think people are still hesitant to put Haliburton in that category. But I think we got to be looking at him as a top 10 guy in the NBA. Yeah. We have to.
One more name, if we're talking about just a little glance to next year, is Orlando. They'll be healthier. They'll be a year older. And they've got some money to play with, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone might look to get there.
God, I love watching Paolo Banchero play ball. He's just one of my favorite players to watch.
If they can get like a true distribution minded point guard in that system,
Trae Young.
Well, I mean, maybe I don't know. I think that it would be really tough. I mean, he would have to take a sort of an offensive step back in terms of his own shot creation and learn how to create for Franz and Paolo. But at the same time, yeah, I think he would be a good guard to match up with alongside of Jalen Suggs because he would kind of mask a lot of his defensive inadequacies.
Yeah, I think that's a name to keep an eye on, at least as far as this offseason goes. But
that'd be
a little outside of our purview, I think.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Well, going back to the finals, who's your guys' X factor for both teams in this? Like, in order for them to get over that hump or to get through that wall, who's going to be the person to step up and have themselves a series?
I think for me, that person has got to be J-Dub, and that's for OKC. Obviously, we all know what Shai's going to do. He's going to go downhill. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to hit mid-range shots. He's going to do all the stuff that an MVP player does. But there's a lot of games where J-Dub will go 5 for 16. He'll go 6 for 18, and he'll have some of these games where that just means their offense is lacking a little bit. And when you're playing a really offensively potent team like the Pacers, if you stifle just a little bit and you're not putting up 115, 120, 125 points, dude, you can find yourself in a close game where Haliburton feels like, hey, I'm ready to hit a big shot, or, Naismith is going to hit a few threes in the fourth quarter and you're going to be screwed, or, and that's a real problem if OKC can't get a really, really solid and consistent, game 1 and game 2 from J-Dub.
Yeah, I think for the Pacers, those X factors are Naismith and Mathurin. Those are guys that are going to see a lot of minutes on SGA, and those are guys that are going to be asked to contribute offensively in a meaningful way. They need to continue to step up and shoot those open jumpers as they come. And it's, they're a big part of this series.
Yes.
And they'll be guarding J-Dub too.
That's very true. I was literally just about to say that. Him and Nembhard will be kind of switching off on SGA, J-Dub, and kind of whoever else is really affecting them from their lineup. But at the same time, I think we're kind of shining light on the fact that these teams are deep and there's multiple X factors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think these teams are more evenly matched than over the course of a series than we might think, given OKC's success on the season.
I think the biggest X factor though is Rick Carlisle. I think just his veteran head coaching, he's been there. He has a lot of skills on the wall, if you will. And sometimes when you see a team as good as the Thunder, they kind of hit a weird wall when the light shines the brightest. And most of the time it's due to coaching. And Rick Carlisle can probably add his 2 cents and help out. Because when we think about this, both these teams, these teams have not been to the finals. They don't know what it's like. Thunder been in the finals a long time ago. Same thing with the Pacers. Like they have, but not with these squads. And the only guy that really has any kind of finals background is Alex Caruso, unless I'm not thinking of someone right now. So I think Rick Carlisle might be the biggest X factor in this series. And if he's able to outcoach, was it Dagnall? Is that how you say his name? Yeah.
Dagnall.
If you can outcoach him, then that could be the whole thing with the series. And we'll see how far it goes.
Yeah, I mean, never discredit a coach like Rick Carlisle, because obviously he knows how to play chess in those big moments, and it's worked out well for him. All right, and what is Adam saying over here? I'm put up this beast
writing fucking paragraphs.
Yeah, Haliburton has to be able to control the pace of the game in half court setting for Indy to have a chance. OKC has so many bodies to disrupt him.
Yeah, and it's really I think it's really how does he handle the physicality, because I think Caruso is going to be it's going to see a lot of minutes on him, and we saw in the last round. I don't want to say too much, but he got away with some handsiness there.
He got the Thunder got away with a lot of hand checking and a lot of hands on wrist and arms. We'll see, because now that the spotlight's on this series. And the NBA is they know the narrative of free throw merchant and all this other stuff. Let's see if they let him play a little bit.
How can the Pacers handle that? Because I think they just have to expect a lack of calls from the beginning of the series. And if that gets to them, then, we could see a lot of games that look like Game 5 in New York.
Yeah, that's very true. But I want to address the free throw merchant, because I just don't feel like it's entirely accurate. I feel like it's a misrepresentation of what we're seeing. And I think that, if you think that SGA flops every once in a while and takes some dives like a lot of the superstar players do, sure. But when you look at how many drives he takes to the basket versus his foul attempts, it's reasonable. And
it's like Tony Parker.
Yeah, exactly. And if you take away all of his foul shots, all of his free throws all of his points off free throws, he's still the leading scorer in the NBA. So he's still doing a lot to score the basketball outside of free throws.
You almost have to think of Shai like Shaq, in the sense that, like, he is a unique body type. The gangliness, the length, the height, and just the way he moves. He has a very herky-jerky style. So he just is going to get hit more than your average guard, just because of the way he moves on the floor.
It's very Canadian.
It's just a matter of, it's just a very divided head kind of movement. And so, it's just a matter of each individual ref has their own style when it comes to that kind of thing. They'll let them get away with, some refs will let them get away with more, some won't. And so it's just, I think you have to think of him almost like an old school big man. He's just going to get hit.
Okay. So you would say he's kind of like a Shaquille O'Neal?
Have y'all seen the Haliburton versus Shisis memes?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh, dude.
No, the internet remains undefeated, man. I swear
NBA Twitter remains undefeated.
Oh, dude, it's Teflon, dude. You can't touch NBA Twitter.
But I think going back real quick, another X factor I think is someone like Obi Toppin, because watching the game yesterday, he was running around like a madman, trying to jump out of the building. Like, he was doing all this stuff. And I really enjoyed seeing him just be a disruptor, grabbing rebounds and things of that nature. So if he can come and be like just bouncy, I think that's going to play a huge factor. And if he can just put a body on Chet, this is a big moment for Chet. Saying, it's a huge moment for Chet. If he wants to like kind of take that superstar level and be on more commercials, he has to have a good series.
Yeah. Well, and the Thunder have a bit of an advantage against a guy like Obi Toppin because they've seen a guy like Obi Toppin and Aaron Gordon. And
Yes.
so, it's and Aaron Gordon had some success in this series, in that series. If he would have been healthy, that could have been a little bit of a game changer towards the end. So it'll be interesting to kind of see the impact that those guys have against the same defense.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, I think either way, there's a lot of really exciting matchups. Um, but also one of the matchups that I really want to see, and we were talking about this player earlier, was who's gonna check Pascal Siakam. I think that I think that he is, maybe not one of those X factors, but we've been doing a lot of talking about Haliburton, but
The
we're not
MVP.
right. The Eastern Conference MVP. We're
Who would you
we
put on him?
Chet.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think you almost have to start out with Chet on him, and then if you were able to switch off J-Dub onto him sometimes, I think that could work.
I
Because
think you'll see Caruso on him some too.
right, I mean you'll see. Because it was proven that Caruso was able to disrupt Jokic as much as one could.
He's so strong. He's so stout that I think that could disrupt Pascal a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's ultimately the two guys I think I would throw at him the most. But also, I think we can't be glossing over the fact that when Siakam scores 30 points, the Pacers win games. So if he's getting hot, I think that's really really good for Indiana and okay.
An interesting name to put on Pascal Siakam would be Jay Will.
Yeah.
He's got the size. He might not have a little bit of the quickness, but he's got the strength. I think you might even see a little bit of that if, say Chet gets in foul trouble one game and they don't want to go to Caruso the entire time.
Caruso looks like Elmer Fudd from Space Jam. It's great.
That's great. I just hope he's not armed in the same way.
He might be. He lives in Oklahoma.
That's true. That's true.
He went to A&M.
Yeah, I was going to say he did go to A&M.
So he definitely has guns in the closet.
Among other things.
Right. Yeah, some skeletons and some, I don't know. I think we should just leave it there. Yeah.
No, he got arrested at A&M for weed, actually, not too long after they won the title.
Who hasn't nowadays?
Yeah, that's a pretty chill thing, to be brutal.
If you haven't noticed, we're stepping up to pink stuff on boats, James. Shout out to Stephon Diggs on the Patriots.
How you make Offset look like a saint?
Right.
Baseline beefs. Here we go.
Yeah, seriously. But
so, all right, go ahead, Rob. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'm just we were kind of talking about just like who OKC is going to throw at guys like Pascal and Miles Turner and yeah, I think that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of iHeart on Miles Turner, and I think that physicality is probably going to frustrate Turner quite a bit. So that's one of the matchups I am actually worried about a little bit.
Yeah, can the Thunder exploit the offensive glass in the same way the Knicks did? I don't think they have an offensive rebounder quite as tenacious individually as Mitchell Robinson, but can they gang rebound, create extra possessions, and create some open opportunities from three that might swing a game or two?
Hartenstein's going to have a lot of rebounds.
Yeah, he will. He'll
and Chet would be a big part in that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of what I was thinking, because he may have to be further away from the basket, having to deal with Pascal a little bit more, and same thing with J-Dub. So I'm if their rebound numbers are down a little bit, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. But yeah, I'm thinking Hartenstein and J Will going to be really really big if depending on if J Will gets enough minutes. But yeah, I think they're both going to be huge rebounders.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately this is going to be a hell of a series, guys. We got some high powered offenses. We got some teams that, they play good defense. The Thunder are a great defensive team. The Pacers are a good defensive team. So this is like, I don't know. This is this is a nightmare for the league office, but it's going to be a joy to watch.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
So we're at the 30-minute mark. We're gonna drop our predictions.
Yeah. I think we should. We've pretty much talked this series up and down. We've talked matchups. We talked just different characteristics about each lineup. I think we should just drop predictions right here, right now, gentlemen. James, what are you thinking?
The most drivable finals I can recently remember. I've got OKC in 5. 5 very close games. I think all of these games are going to be really compelling and entertaining, but I just think OKC is in their moment right now.
Thunder era.
That makes sense. Yeah, it could be. And the thunder rolls. Oh no, we're copyrighted now. I shouldn't have said that.
Garth Brooks is very litigious.
We might get murdered by him now. So
right. But yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat. I think the Pacers get one more game than that. I'm thinking OKC in 6. I do see the Pacers winning a couple of games, one at home, maybe a close one on the road, just because their ability to hang within close games and to just be within 10, 11, 12 points and just erase that lead so quickly. Even against a team like OKC, I could see them really just being a problem. But at the end of the day, I think a couple of these games are going to be 20, 25 point just stomp fests, and it's going to be OKC running away with this probably by a 10 plus point per game margin.
Yeah, I got Thunder in 6 too. I think the Pacers have a chance to make it super interesting. I don't know what I don't know yet, and I want to see game 1. So I'm also going to hold the right to change my mind after game 1. But also, I would say if Haliburton can play like he did in the wins that they had against the Knicks, then that's going to be a very tough Pacers team to beat. We also just got to see kind of what the matchups look like. But for right now, on paper, I'd say Thunder in 6.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like we're giving Indiana much of a chance here, but at the same time, I think we are expecting some of these games to be close and exciting. Oh, yeah. It's like,
I think they'll all be pretty close, honestly. There might be one that gets away from one team or the other, but I think it's going to be a pretty closely contested series for the most part. Just won't go very long.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, the OKC Thunder are just monsters on both ends of the floor. It's
their time. It's just their time. Sam Presti has done his job better than anybody in the league, and they've got the MVP now. It's just their time.
I don't want to shit on any towns here, but if you win the championship in Oklahoma City or you win the championship in Indianapolis, what do you do to celebrate?
Go somewhere else.
I don't know. You probably eat a really nice meal and then you go to bed. All right, we got a nice comment in here from Going Rogue. Trade the second pick to Brooklyn.
You got to get another team in there. Brooklyn has nothing that I value for Dylan Harper by themselves.
Right. We would need to get something else. Yeah, James, I agree 100%. If that's going to happen, then let's bring in a third team that has a superstar guy that we can plug and play immediately. Because if
we're drop the name, James.
I think there's a bones of a Bam Adebayo trade that Brooklyn would make sense with, and I think that's the name that I have been kind of hoping for, looking at. But there's a lot of salary cap implications and who goes in, who goes out, and that kind of trade that would that are just beyond me, to be quite honest with you.
Right. We would need Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson to be involved in that trade, getting off of our books. And then we would probably also have to part ways with multiple picks. But at the end of the day, if we're able to trade out that second pick get Keldon and Devin off of our books, and then and then we're still able to keep a lot of our picks and assets, and then somehow get Bam Adebayo. That would be tremendous if we were able to parlay the second pick into and our current players into all that.
What I think is more likely, if we're doing business with Brooklyn, is Cam Johnson in the 14th pick.
Well, we have the 14th pick.
Yeah, Cam Johnson for the 14th pick, and maybe we'll trade down to we'll trade down to 19, something like that. They have some interesting poker chips down the road. I know they have a 29 Knicks pick, and I think a 31 or a 30 pick from someone else. So they have some interesting pieces, but I don't really think that it's anything worth trading the second pick for.
Right, and that's why I'm agreeing with Adam, and he's saying Dylan Harper's worth more than their whole roster. Cam Johnson and their 3 firsts this year isn't even enough. And yeah, I just think Dylan Harper is that guy, and I think we draft him, and then we either really build him within what we're doing, or we find a team that needs a point guard, like they need water, and then we just fleece them for him. And I honestly would like either option, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, and I know Brooklyn wants Dylan Harper. I know they do, because he's an area-born kid. He went to Rutgers, but they have more work to do in terms of making it worth the Spurs' while.
Yeah, definitely a third team would have to be involved, and we would have to get, a lot of cool stuff like free pizza from Brooklyn or something. So
right,
we'll make it
because y'all aren't thinking Cam Johnson and picks is enough.
No, not for number 2.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I like Cam Johnson as a player, and I like his attitude. I like his work ethic.
Fit in really well with the
Yes,
Spurs.
he would, and we need shooting, and we really do.
Yeah, but I think 14, but not 2.
Yeah,
we're gonna get KD, dude. We don't need shooting.
We're gonna get everybody. Spurs fans are slowly becoming like Lakers
we're
fans.
Getting Giannis.
Fans,
we're getting
and
KD.
You're gonna see the Photoshop soon.
Yeah, we're getting Giannis, KD, LeBron James to pair with Wemby and De'Aaron
Trey
Fox.
Murphy, Herb Jones. All of them. All of the free agents.
I think I've seen every player in a Spurs uniform on Spurs Twitter.
Y'all know how many NBA players are going to be in line for Raspas at the Alamo?
Oh. Probably a lot.
And you can definitely tell, because there'll be a whole foot taller than everyone there.
Maybe 2.
Probably 2.
Oh yeah, everyone else be coming up to their waist. I didn't mean to highlight that comment. Meant to do this one. Do you think we can make a trade with New Orleans work? I know that we were talking about
in our
Murphy.
group chat. Yeah, we're in our group chat. James brought up the question of Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Zion.
Yeah, they've got some interesting names. I don't know about Zion. I don't know about Zion right now.
Yeah, let's
just put him in the 09 and he'll be fine. We'll put him next to a vegan restaurant. Like we just keep him away from as many Mexican restaurants as possible.
Bro, you realize that would be impossible in San Antonio. Like keeping Zion thin in San Antonio.
Keep him away from UTSA. Keep him away from. Keep him away. Yeah.
Make him live in Austin. And then we'll just go pick him up.
No, make him live in Buda. Make him live in Johnson City, somewhere where there's no food and no women.
Right. Yeah, right. Like, are we just gonna also inherit this baby mama drama as well? That's not the Spurs way.
He's got a case. A case.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Well, I will say, this is going to be an interesting year for the Spurs. I love that we're doing a finals podcast. We're like, fuck that Spurs. So,
well, we talked about the finals for the first half hour. Yeah,
that's fair. Course. With a lot of Spurs in between there too.
I can't wait to get to some off-season content by some of the voices that I really respect, and namely the Sam Vicinis and Zach Lowe's of the world to hear, because I think the Spurs are probably the most fascinating team. And Going Rogue also brought up New Orleans. I think they're one of the more fascinating teams in the league this offseason, because and for different reasons. To be clear, one's ascending and one's descending, and so I think a lot of those teams hold a lot of chips and will be very active this summer.
I think every team is going to make some kind of big move, I mean, you just start thinking about across the board on who's out there. Like, just in Texas, like Rockets, Mavs, Spurs. All right, all those three teams are going to make some pretty big moves. Then you think about Phoenix; they have to make big moves, otherwise they're just stuck in purgatory. The Nuggets, they're going to have to make some big moves. Clippers are going to have to figure out what they want to do. I mean, there's so many storylines that are going to go on in this offseason, and it's just a matter of time. So I'm happy that we're at the finals because I'm ready to see this offseason.
Phoenix better make themselves real comfortable in purgatory.
Right. Yeah. They literally just handcuff themselves to the radiator. They are not going anywhere.
It's ownership matters, man. Ownership definitely matters. That new guy came in and he just basically said, screw this, we're going to go for it. And it didn't work out.
He's not Robert Sarver, and as a person, that's an upgrade, but he went a little too Leroy Jenkins with everything. And
he really did.
Bro, you got to have patience. And it's like, like you want to shake things up and you want to just go after big names. That's going to bite you in the ass. And I think that we're seeing the evidence of that, looping things back to the NBA finals, two teams that were built the right way, piece by piece, a good fit here, a good fit there. And all of a sudden they're able to run 8, 9, 10-man rotations with guys they can trust, with coaches that are coaching at an elite level.
And if you're a Spurs fan who doesn't want Kevin Durant, you're pointing at what's going on in Phoenix right now. Not that that's necessarily his fault, and you're also pointing at the finals, how these teams were built. We're looking at, because of the CBA, a new day in roster construction in the NBA.
Yes, it is. So, so now that, for me, so I want to put a little, I guess, peek behind the curtain on my life. So whenever I typically, especially on the weekends, when I hit the gym, I like to do the Stairmaster. I like to turn on like a soccer game or something from the night before, highlights wise. Now that there's no soccer, Champions League's over, all this other stuff is done, I need to figure out what I'm going to watch whenever I do my cardio. I decided to throw on that, was it the Olympic show from Netflix, and watching the second episode, and they did like a segment with KD, and that dude's just a hooper. Yeah. And I think whenever he's happy, he's playing at his absolute highest level. And if we can save him from Phoenix, and I know that he's old, I know that, he's KD, he's long, skinny guy, whatever. Here's the thing. He's a hooper. When you put him in a good position, and honestly, if he can take that similar role that he did with the Olympics, not saying come off the bench, that seems silly, but having Kevin Durant on the court and just spot up shoot for an offense that is, I'm assuming, going to be similar to Greg Popovich. So if we swing, and all of a sudden KD has the ball with a wide open shot, I like that look. I really do. And, I know it's going to take moving mountains to make it happen, but we heard Shams talk about it. Mutual interest among teams. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole modus operandi of the offseason. Let's see what happens. We're along for a ride.
Yeah. Like, I'm always down to engage in the conversation, but it's always about, what are we going to give up for Kevin Durant? Yep. I always think that's where the conversation starts. But I got to address a comment from Roundball. He said, AJ, put some respect on the MLS.
Okay. Oh, yeah. MLS.
If you're looking for something on the treadmill that's like 45 minutes, I suggest like some sort of, like true crime drama. In my paternity leave, I've been binging Evil Lives Here. And I've watched so many fucking episodes of that show.
I need something that's going to like kind of get me going. That's why I like watching sports. So what was great was whenever the Spurs came out with their like 50-part documentary stuff on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
That was like my cardio. Like that was peak. Cause then it was like, all right, that was dope. 99 was a great year. Let's hit this harder. So that's how I do my workouts. But
God, man, running sucks.
I don't run. I do the Stairmaster. It's totally different. It's way easier. I'm not going to run. Fuck that.
I have to go play basketball to get my running in. That's the only way I get my cardio. But just going back to the KD, Going Rogue said he'll be disgruntled before the year's end. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, it seems like you don't have to do that much to upset Kevin Durant. It could be just something the coach does, a rotation, how the fans are responding to him on Twitter can kind of sway his opinion about his life in a certain environment. So there's
Lana Rhodes.
I would feel more Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah.
I would feel more comfortable with the concept of KD coming here if Pop was still on the sideline.
That's fair.
I think that relationship would mean a lot to Kevin Durant, and that would kind of keep him grounded and not thinking about some of that stuff that might get him off track.
Right. Because I don't know if Mitch Johnson is the kind of guy to rein in that kind of personality, even though I don't think he's like a really like big, robust, like over the top character. But he's a very opinionated player who's top 15 all time. And when Kevin Durant walks into a room for your organization, like that's a mountain right there. That's
gravity changes.
Yes, exactly. That's a force.
But how awesome would it be to see his mom in a Spurs like shirt with her son on it? It'd be fun to see Mrs. Durant on the sidelines. That'd be great.
He has business interests in Austin. He is part of a group that's trying to get a WNBA team to Austin. Obviously, he's a UT alum. He has connections to the area, and so like there are reasons for obvious mutual interest between the two. Just at the end of the day, it feels a little too square peg round hole.
I agree. That's a great point. But I do want to say like how he ended up at UT is pre NIL is hilarious to me. And the fact that like, because UT had a great program. No, they didn't.
Pre-NIL.
No, they didn't. Don't tell me that the early 2000s UT had a great basketball program. That's bullshit. So the fact that he was from Washington, D.C., James, no.
I mean, he came in, 3 years after a Final Four run?
Yeah, okay. 3 years afterwards.
Right. I mean, you're not gonna make me forget about TJ Ford.
Oh, you mean Spurs commentator TJ Ford?
You're not gonna make me forget about Connor Lashley.
Oh, I haven't heard that name in years.
Yeah, I got deep pulls.
But Rick Barnes or someone from UT definitely slid a few money rolls over to that family, because you can tell me that in Washington, D.C., there aren't any blue blood schools that he could have gone to.
Well, look at UT's alumni in the NBA. Clearly, they got a good bag man.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, and dude, those squads did have some hoopers on them. I remember playing against what was his name? AJ Abrams.
AJ Abrams.
He busted my AAU team's ass. Like
DJ Augustine, PJ Tucker.
Yeah, they just have some hoopers. But at
Royale
the same time,
Ivy.
But they're not Duke. They're not North Carolina. They're not Georgetown. They're not Villanova. So it's
they're not even Baylor. But I mean,
ooh,
one's got a banner and the other doesn't. I mean,
that's fair.
Facts.
That's fair.
Although one's players were murdering each other at one point, but that's beside the point.
It's like, who you dunking on? Baylor's murderers.
Dave Bliss.
It's like, no way we're dunking on. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's a good segue. I guess that's a good segue into our dunks.
Okay. And if we're talking a little bit about college, I'll go first if y'all don't mind.
All right. Yeah, let's go right.
I like the assertiveness.
I got a pinata that I love going at, and y'all might know it's Greg Sankey. Your comments this week earned you a firm dunk. You go up there and you act like you're some sort of martyr for all things that are good for college football. Go fuck yourself, dude. You're just a bureaucrat. You're a bureaucrat who got lucky because they were in their job long enough to be elevated to the top and take over someone else's empire that they created. You single-handedly start the ruination of college sports and conference consolidation with your selfish moves. And UT and OU aren't blameless, but you started this. And to go in here and act like you're the victim of all of it and try to gaslight everybody around the country who gives a shit about college football, while your league gets benefit of the doubt after benefit of the doubt after benefit of the doubt in football, basketball, and baseball, and any sport on the map. Just shut up. Shut up. Take what you get. You're clearly the best conference in football. No one's arguing that point, but you haven't lived up to it. You haven't lived up to the talent that you put out on the field, and everybody is tired of your words. They're tired of you pulling the puppet strings on the TV shows that we watch and telling people what to say. So just shut up. Just fade into the background, be a commissioner, be quiet, and do your job. We know you're good at it.
And that's why I love the Big 12 commissioner, Brett. Was it Yormark? Dude, he came back and was like, he basically did what James did, maybe a little more tactfully because he's the commissioner of the Big 12. But regardless, he basically said the same thing and was like, you need to shut up and stop messing with this thing because it's getting ridiculous. And we're moving to a point where we can't come back. And James, I think you just nailed every single point on the head. So shout out to you on that dunk. Great dunk.
Yeah, fantastic dunk. AJ, who you dunking on?
Well, mine's not going to be as fiery as that one, which is, it is what it is. But
I haven't felt that kind of way since crumble cookies.
That's fair. Well, dude, honestly, so my wife and I, we like to watch a lot of those HGTV shows. And I think, Rob, you've recorded on a couple of them or worked on a couple of sets on those.
I have.
So as much as I love them, there's this one show on the network called Rock the Block. And if you're not familiar with this, is where they get 4 teams and they basically give them a skeleton of a house and they tell them, do this. It's a challenge, a kitchen challenge, a bedroom challenge, a backyard challenge. It's a fun show to watch if you're kind of bored on a Saturday. However, the integrity and the actual recording and everything that went around it was absolutely dog shit. And Rob, I'm going to pull one from you. I did not like the way that they filmed it. I didn't like the way that they didn't change shirts on different challenges. They literally wore the same thing from the first episode. And you're and it's like, at least either one, tell us that they're doing all this walkthrough on the first day, or make them change. Like, it's not that hard. The continuity of that show was absolutely dog shit, and it bothered me to no end. And then in the last episode, it's like they're wearing the same shit. Like, they're literally wearing the same clothes from the first episode. You're telling me that in these challenges, they're just going to wear the same thing every day? Get the fuck out of here. Like,
that's lazy.
It's lazy. It's just straight lazy. And the cutaways were terrible. They didn't tell us any information at the end on who won. Like, they told us who won, and they're like, you only won by $35,000. And it's like, all right, then show us number 2, 3, and 4. And they never showed us. So it was just a really lazy, poor production. And so I'm going to dunk. And I think it's Patrick Bryans is the showrunner and producer. So I'm going to dunk on him because he should know better. You should have watched that and been like, we got to change some shit.
Yeah. And Chip and Joanna, you get dunks too, because HGTV.
Yeah.
Magnolia Network, James. How dare you?
Yeah, it is Magnolia Network. I've worked for some,
sorry, Adam.
I've worked for some companies in that Waco area. Yeah, it's always interesting stuff on those sets. But yeah,
Rob, who are you gonna dunk on today?
The one that can actually dunk on people.
I feel like I have a bunch of video game dunks all the time, and I have another one. Oh my gosh, like my favorite game developer, From Software, that's the company, is called From Software. They just came out with a new Elden Ring game called Elden Ring Night Reign, and Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yes, it is.
This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite game developer. Like, the run of games they are currently on is like the sports equivalent to like the Boston Celtics in the 60s. It's like they've put out banger after banger after banger, like several games in a row. Yeah, dude, like you aren't able to you aren't able to keep up with what this studio is doing. Everything from like the Dark Souls trilogy, like Demon Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, like all of these really dope ass games. And then they drop Elden Ring Night Rain, which is like they took Elden Ring and then asked if like, hey, you want this to be more like Fortnite?
Oh no.
And it's like a multiplayer game where like you need to like communicate and like basically like drop in on like areas and enemies, and it's just like,
oh no,
it's not good.
So
yeah,
it's like it kind of loses its like Middle Earth vibe.
Yeah, to a certain degree. It wouldn't been, it would have been such an amazing game had they just not moved away from everything that people loved about their games. And they made even some of the other aspects of it terrible as well. Shout out to the bums. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but hey, much love to you. Yeah. Mordaki, much love to you as well. But yeah, Elden Ring Night Rain, you got dunked on. Like literally they had like game after game after game just were in contention for game of the years, and then you drop this stinker. Like, how dare you? How dare you, FromSoft?
I vividly remember several times coming to your house or to Cam's house, and that game is on the screen, and you guys are just balls deep in whatever challenges and questions
you remember.
doing.
You remember those, AJ?
Oh yeah, dude. Walking in and just being like, this is fun to watch. Like, it was a lot of fun to watch. And then it's like, all right, let's go to the bars. So, but that sucks, man. I'm sorry that Elden Ring kind of turned into Fortnite. I still play Clash of Clans, by the way.
You gonna watch the series?
No, I'm not gonna watch the series. I'm not gonna watch the series of Clash of Clans, but I still play. I got 2 bases, and I think my top base is it's the Legends League. So I only get like 8 attacks a day. It's pretty crazy.
Interesting. I mean,
I haven't played that game since 2013.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm like a solid decade plus removed from Clash of Clans.
Yeah, you guys got me into it, and then I just stayed and just kept doing it. Similar to most of my life, you guys got me into it, and I just kept doing it.
Hey, and we're here now, and we're loving life.
I honestly could say the same thing, AJ. So.
Yeah, and also I guess a side assist too for the WWE for releasing R-Truth after 17 years.
Fuck y'all for that.
I think that's terrible. And you gave him some bullshit match against John Cena, and it was just like, what are we doing? Like that was a shitty way to treat one of your longtime vets, and you get dunked on for that.
He's the only wrestler that could make everybody from Brock Lesnar to Rhea Ripley break on screen. Like they all broke character working with R-Truth on screen. So yeah, I'm with you there, AJ.
Yeah, and I know Rob is a huge R-Truth fan.
Yes, you will not see a podcast episode where I'm not mentioning R-Truth. Apparently,
the only WWE wrestler to smoke a cigarette on live TV.
Oh, WWE, because the Giant did it in WCW.
Oh well.
Adam is saying I would like to dunk on AJ this upcoming weekend.
Well, yeah, if you try to do that, Adam, you're gonna get pushed midair, and I will get ejected for that. I don't care. I don't care. Find me. I don't care if you even try that shit,
guys. Talking like 8 feet.
We're gonna have some fun pool basketball situations, as well as some good driveway basketball situations.
And a major announcement coming to you on that episode.
Yes.
Major announcement. We got some fun stuff going on. We're going to drop it like it's hot because that's the music we listen to. We haven't come out of 08.
Yes,
that's like 04.
We have, we're going to have a really, really great episode next week. Yeah, we got a huge announcement. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, AJ. I gotta address this comment. Rob, what wrestler comes to your mind when AJ and James start talking about wrestling?
Good question. It's a good question, Austin. It's a good question.
It is a great question, and I have.
You're gonna date yourself possibly here, so be careful.
It's Stone Cold. First of all,
okay.
It's always Stone Cold Steve Austin because he had the same PO box that I did.
That's fair.
And Bernie. And like we literally I saw him multiple times just getting his mail, and I'd be like, dude, this is
yeah.
He's like, goddamn kid, you're getting tall.
It literally would blow my mind, and it'd be like, I don't really watch wrestling that much, but I'm a kid, so I know who Stone Cold is. So it's like, yeah, I'm like this. I mean, it felt weird that he wasn't like drinking a beer and like getting, and so I was a little starstruck, but at the same time, it's just, Stone Cold getting his mail.
San Antonio has this really unique thing, and you guys can attest to this. San Antonio has this really unique, and shout out to Adam for saying Val Venus, because yes, absolutely Val Venus. San Antonio has this really unique thing whenever a celebrity comes through the town where they like just stop what they're doing and they just like focus on this one particular celebrity, and they're like, oh my God, so-and-so ate at this restaurant. And like for the next 2 weeks, that restaurant like is the busiest it's ever been. And I don't know, San Antonio has a really weird infatuation with celebrities and also the celebrities that they love too. It's a very unique situation. Like whenever San Antonians found out Pedro Pascal lived in San Antonio, they're like, ours.
Right.
I didn't even know that.
We are claiming that zaddy right there.
Yeah, no, literally they were like, so Pedro, who has better tacos, San Antonio and Austin? He goes, boss.
Come on. It's like Austin has good tacos, but they're white people tacos. Like you have to understand the difference between authentic Mexican tacos and white people tacos. And I like some white people tacos. They're good, but they're not like when I'm craving some, carne asada or some al pastor. It's like, I'm not like looking at places in Austin that much,
And also like, if you're at a restaurant, and you don't see like some old Mexican lady doing this with the tortillas, then what are you doing?
If the menu isn't in Spanish, or if there's not heavy Spanish speaking going on, you're probably not in a place you want to be.
Yeah, right. There has to be at least one torta who wears a skirt way too short and she has like way too much lonja hanging out. So you got to be careful just for those. But yes, just heads up. So anyway, we can talk about Mexican. Catch us next time on Baseline Bums Restaurants.
Right. I was about to say, super off topic, but you know what? I love it, guys. Anytime we can talk any type of San Antonio culture, food, sports, I'm all here for it. But guys, that feels like a really good episode. And if you're still here with us, if you're in the comments, if you're watching and not commenting, regardless of how you're consuming the podcast, we love you. We appreciate you. This would not be the same without you. We appreciate all of the support, all of the engagement. We really love being on here talking NBA topics, talking Spurs stuff, but none of this would be the same without you. So we don't take what you bring to our podcast lightly. And we really appreciate the fact that you're here. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, we got a huge announcement next week. So make sure that you're staying tuned for all of those announcements, because they'll happen, one at a time kind of, and then we'll unleash the big one at the episode next weekend.
And the episode, this next episode, we might record again this week, but we got an episode coming up that's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be just a lot of shit talking. We're talking about guys who've been friends since high school. So if you want to see us really get loose with some alcohol in us, definitely tune in. It's going to be fun. Rob's going to have to edit a lot of it out.
Yeah.
So it might be a 10-second episode, but it was a fun time.
Right. But yeah, that'll all be going down next week. So yeah, y'all stay tuned for that. And yeah, I think we're going to end this episode the same way we end all of the episodes. And that's with a go Spurs, a go.
Shout out to UTSA baseball too. UTSA baseball.